Hey guys, and welcome to a short, well, hopefully short, follow-up video to the video I made recently, where I talked about my beliefs, I guess you could say, how I think longevity of Steel Division will be compared to Wargame, or just the fact that it will be shorter. Um, I want to elaborate some points because I think some people may have misunderstood me. First of all, I said it in the video, but I'm just gonna say it again. I'm not hating on the game. I may have sounded a bit pessimistic, or may have looked at it as if it was a half-empty glass. But I like the game. I think it's a good game. Just the fact that I think it is in some ways worse than Wargame doesn't mean it's a bad game. Okay, I am enjoying the game. I'm still playing the game, and as you saw, I'm also still uploading the game. It's not like I'm just hating the game because it's not Wargame 4. Second of all, and I think I also didn't formulate it very well. I said that said it fairly shortly that mostly people who are more interested in the authentic part of the game will disagree with me. But I guess I should have said something like, the people who agree with me are most likely those who are the quote unquote hardcore wargame players, I guess you could say. Like me and a lot of my friends that I play with, we just played for the mechanics, like which I talked about extensively in the video, about the mechanics and then the deep, engaging, and also rewarding mechanics if you know how to use them. Hope the game is not too loud here. I guess I can. That should hopefully be better. Yeah, so I think especially for casual players the game will be a lot better, or the type of players who are just like playing every weekend like 10 versus 10 rounds or anything along those lines. I think those players will be a lot more content with this game than Wargame, for example, because they don't have to spend the first 100 hours getting fucked by all sorts of players because they don't understand the game. I think for those players it will be a lot better. And again, when I meant longevity, I didn't mean necessarily how long the game will be alive. I mean, you can't really say that as of right now with certainty, but I more meant like how long maybe the sort of... I'm gonna get shit on because I say the word, and then people will say that I'm an egoistic, egocentral being who thinks he's better than everyone else. But I'm more talking about the sort of competitive player base, and again, the players like me. I think they won't stick around with the game as much, and so that would probably also mean that feedback on balance will not be as, I guess, good, you could say, as Wargame. So that you may disagree with me here. So yeah, I think the type of players like me just will not stick to this game as long as they did with Wargame. Like, I have 40,000 hours in Wargame, and I don't think I will play as much in Steel Division. But that's, again, I said it often enough. Another point that I want to elaborate on, because many people mentioned it, is when I talked about the decks and the diversity of decks. People kept saying, "Well, you only saw 8 decks." They first said 4, then I answered with, "Well, we actually saw 7, including the ones they showed on stream. But I think they actually showed 8 with the ones on stream together. So we've seen 8 decks so far, and every deck follows the same. I mean, mechanics, the same rules, I guess you could say, the same scheme, you know, where you have a certain amount of units. They all have roughly the same amount of units, I would say, and they all end up with having just a certain core units around, like that you just have to have. For one, just because there aren't as many units to choose from, anyways, and secondly, just due to the phase system. And that's why I also said in the last video that I believe that when you look at different, like the 12 SS decks from different players, we'll most likely see that they all, in the end, will have around 70, maybe even 80% of the same units. And looking at the all decks that we have seen so far, they all work like that. So why should I not believe that it doesn't work like that for the other 8 decks? Should I suddenly believe that the other 8 decks don't use the phase system, or should I believe that the other 8 decks get double the amount of units? So I don't see how this should be different than what we have seen as of now. Especially considering that the gameplay and stuff like that from the Act of Aggression or the Wargame betas haven't really been different from the final release. And we are just a bit more than 1 month away from the release, unless they postpone it. Which brings me to the next point. People keep saying, it's just a beta, dude, it's just a beta. But again, we are just 1 month away from release. I have played in previous Eugen betas, especially the open ones, like the open ones where you have to pre-order. They all work the same. You basically play a near finished version. The gameplay is there, will most likely not get much adjusted. What you will mostly see is performance changes, balance changes, performance in terms of how well the game runs on your PC, balance changes, the addition of the missing decks, but we won't see suddenly a completely new mechanic, I think. I mean, I would like to. Maybe Eugen is different with Paradox as their developer, but also simply due to the fact that this game is set in World War II, we won't see a lot of the mechanics. And I know, and people kept saying this, but I'm well aware. I'm well aware that nearly all of the features that I mentioned just can't be in the game because it's World War II. I'm well aware that this is the case, but this doesn't invalidate the point that it has less gameplay features. And yes, it has some stuff that is better or but some well, mostly this is obviously all subjective. I'm not saying this is you know, not objectively worse, but you know, it has objectively less deeper features. Like all the points I made, this is my opinion. I have to stress it because some people think that I think this is what everyone should believe. No, I'm not saying that. Like for example, the HP and the stress system. It is not necessarily deeper than Wargame, but it's certainly very different. But it doesn't make it better or worse. That just depends on what you look at, who you look at, what you want from the game. But I think that wraps it up. Someone made a response video, which I find very nice. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet because I've been very busy the past couple of days, which is why the video took a few days to come out. And I think that's it. Did I forget to mention something? Oh yeah, what I also heard is people saying, or at least one guy, the less is more sort of thing. When I was talking about Red Dragon having a lot more units available, so you can build a lot more different decks, which is kind of sort of obvious. And he mentioned that well, even on Reddit, many people mentioned it too. In Wargame, you also have you everywhere see the same amount of core units, which is partially true. Like in a lot of Soviet decks, you would see the T-70WU, the T-80UM, the Su-27M. Yeah, that's true. However, I am 100% certain that you won't have the same amount of percentage-wise the same amount of core units you have in Steel Division. In Wargame, you have let me put it this way. In Steel Division, you have the extreme where you have, well, if you only compare to Wargame Red Dragon, of course. If you compare to other strategy games, Steel Division offers a lot more than those in terms of units, of course. But it is compared to Wargame. If you compare to Wargame, Steel Division is the extreme where you have a fairly low amount of units per deck, and you end up with all the decks being incredibly similar. And barely different in gameplay. On Red Dragon, on the other hand, you have so many units that a big chunk of those are not even considered worth playing. However, I would say that in Wargame Red Dragon you still have, even if you take away the units that barely see play and are considered not worth playing, even if we take those units away, we still have enough units to build two completely different decks, where they barely share any units, and both would be viable. You know? I'm doing weird hand gestures that you can't see. I don't even know why I'm doing this. So even though what I would like to see something in between. Just a lot, well, a good amount of units, more than Steel Division, less than Wargame, with all of them having their roles. That you can build from the same nation or the same deck type, various decks that just play quite a bit different from each other and just use different units. That's what I think would be the ideal, but which neither game fulfills. I'm also not saying, by the way, that Warhammer Dragon is a perfect game. No. But neither am I saying that Steel Division is a shit game. I'm not hating on it because I'm a butthurt Wargame fanboy who jerks off after this video to Wargame because I hate Steel Division so much. No, that's that's simply not the case. But I think now I talked about everything I wanted to talk about, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna link the response video in the description. I haven't watched it yet, but I will later on after I went to the dock. And I think now it actually wraps it up. Hopefully I don't forget anything like last time. Last time I forgot mods. I guess I could quickly talk about that as well. The mod support. Mod support will certainly be a lot better than Wargame, since you have in-game mod support that allows you to switch and share mods. Especially the sharing part, I think, is very, very important. I don't know. Well, of course I don't know. I have no idea or no assumption of how big the modern community will be and how big of a role it will play in the longevity. But I'm very certain that it will play a bigger role than it did in Wargame. Just simply due to the ability to share them in-game and turn them on and off in-game. Which is a very, very important part, I think. And I think that's it. For the third time now. I hope I don't forget anything this time. If I forget, check the pinned comment, I guess, in the description. And I see you in the next video, hopefully.